The first time I saw Lieutenant Kara Stone, she was doing something that would have killed any rational being in the known galaxy. She was lifting a cargo container, by herself, with her bare hands. I say bare hands, because that is, somehow, the most disturbing part. No exosuit, no gravitational cyst, no neural link to mechanized systems. Just meat, bone and what humans call muscle. That is not possible, I said to my colleague Rix. Rix's 3 eye stalks swiveled toward me, then back to the human female. And yet, I agreed. The container in question weighed approximately 400 kilograms. I know this because I had checked the manifest that morning. I am very good at my job as station logistics coordinator. I check everything. It is why I am still alive and why Administrator Quellen keeps me employed despite my species' unfortunate reputation for anxiety. The human set the container down with a metallic thunk that reverberated through the loading bay. She wiped her forehead with the back of her hand, leaving a streak of something dark across her pale skin. Then she grinned at the Corthian dock supervisor, who had been gesturing frantically at a malfunctioning loader mech. "There you go, big guy," she said, patting the container twice. "All set." The Corthian, whose carapace had turned a pale shade of distress yellow, simply stared. "You are welcome," the human added, still grinning. I made a note in my datapad: humans possess strength disproportionate to body mass. Recommend increased safety protocols. That was 3 cycles ago. 3 cycles before everything went wrong, or right. I am still not entirely sure which. Station Kepler 9 orbits a gas giant in what humans call the arse end of nowhere. Their words, not mine, though I have since looked up the phrase and find it distressingly accurate. We are a trading post, a way station, a place where 7 different species conduct business far from their respective homeworlds. It is also, as I would soon learn, the kind of place where grudges simmer and tempers flare. Especially when you put a human in the same station as a Drexian warlord. Warlord Hakros arrived on the station with an entourage of 12 armed guards, each one standing over 2 meters tall and carrying plasma rifles that could punch through hull plating. Drexians are a proud species. Aggressive. Their culture revolves around combat prowess and what they call honor through domination. Hakros himself was a mountain of scaled muscle, with 4 arms and a crest of bone plates running down his spine. His eyes glowed a deep amber, and when he spoke his voice rumbled like distant thunder. He also had a very specific problem with humans. "They are weak," he announced during the station's monthly diplomatic gathering. He pointed one clawed finger at Lieutenant Stone, who was leaning against the refreshment bar with a cup of something that smelled acidic enough to dissolve metal. "Soft, fragile, and yet your Terran coalition insists they deserve a seat at the table with true warriors." Kara took a sip of her drink. She did not look up. "I have fought your kind before," Hakros continued, his voice rising. "On the border skirmishes near the Xanthar Expanse, they fall like leaves in a storm. They bleed. They die. Easily." Now she looked up. "You done?" she asked. The room went silent. I felt my respiratory sacs constrict. Rix's eye stalks retracted slightly. Even Administrator Quellen, who had seen nearly everything in his 200 years, leaned forward in his seat. Hakros's crest flared. "What did you say?" I said. Kara repeated slowly, setting down her cup. "Are you done? Because if you are, I have a shift in 30 minutes, and I would really like to finish my coffee before some wounded-up lizard makes me late." "Oh no! Oh no, no, no! You dare mock me?" Hakros took a step forward. His guards shifted, hands moving toward their weapons. Kara shrugged. "I am just saying, if you want to have a pissing contest about who is tougher, maybe do it when I am not caffeinating. Or better yet, do not do it at all, because nobody here cares." I wanted to intervene. I wanted to say something, anything, to de-escalate the situation. But my translator implant seemed to have stopped working, possibly due to sheer terror. Hakros's eyes narrowed. "I challenge you, human. Single combat. Tomorrow, in the station's arena, we will see how soft your species truly is." "Pass," Kara said, picking up her cup again. You refuse? Hakros's voice dripped with contempt. Then you admit weakness. I admit I have better things to do than beat up an overgrown gecko for his ego. The Drexian's crest flushed a deep red. You think you could defeat me? I think, Kara said, finally turning to face him fully, that if I agree to this stupid idea, I am going to put you in the station medical bay for a week. And then I am going to have to file an incident report. And I hate paperwork. So, no thanks. Hakros laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. You are afraid. I am annoyed. Then prove me wrong, Deathworlder. The way he said that last word made it sound like a curse. Fight me. Show me this legendary human resilience. Unless of course the stories are lies. Kara was quiet for a long moment. She took another sip of her coffee. Then she sighed. The kind of deep, weary sigh that suggested she had been through this exact scenario too many times before. Fine, she said. Tomorrow. Noon? But when I win, you shut up about humans being weak. Deal? When I defeat you, Hakros countered, your coalition will acknowledge Drexian superiority in combat. Sure. Whatever. Now if you will excuse me, my coffee is getting cold. She walked out. The room remained silent for approximately 15 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. I found Kara later that evening in the station's observation deck. She was staring out at the swirling clouds of the gas giant below, her reflection ghostly in the reinforced view screen. Lieutenant Stone, I said, approaching carefully. My species communicates through a combination of vocalizations and bioluminescent patterns, which my translator converts into Galactic standard. May I speak with you? She glanced at me. Sure, Quillix. What is up? I appreciated that she pronounced my name correctly. Most species struggle with the subtle tonal variations. I wanted to ask, I began, trying to find diplomatic phrasing, if you have considered the ramifications of tomorrow's challenge. You mean the part where I punch a dinosaur in the face? I mean the part where you may be seriously injured, or worse. Warlord Hakros is a decorated combatant. He has participated in over 200 sanctioned duels. He has never lost. Kara turned back to the view screen. Yeah, I know. Then why did you accept? Because he called me soft. I waited for further explanation. None came. That seems, I ventured carefully, insufficient reason to risk your life. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. You would think so, would you not? But here is the thing, Quillix. People like Hakros, they do not stop. You back down once. They push harder. You show weakness. They exploit it. The only way to deal with a bully is to stand up to them. But he is significantly larger than you. Stronger. He has 4 arms. I have 2 fists and a really bad attitude. That is not reassuring. She smiled then, and for the first time I saw something in her expression that made my bioluminescence flicker nervously. It was not fear. It was not even anger. It was confidence, complete and absolute. Quillix, she said gently. I appreciate the concern, really, but you have got to understand something about humans. We come from a nightmare world. Everything on Earth either wants to eat us, poison us, or kill us in some creative way. We have been prey, predator, and everything in between. We learned to survive when survival should have been impossible. I have read the reports about Earth, I admitted. The gravitational force, the atmospheric composition, the abundance of hostile fauna. The reports do not do it justice. She tapped the view screen with one finger. That planet down there, with the crushing pressure and the toxic storms, that is a vacation spot compared to Earth. So when some alien warlord tells me I am soft, she turned to face me fully. I take it personally. He warned you not to fight him, I said quietly. Kara's smile widened, and I warned him not to regret it. The arena was packed. Apparently, word of the challenge had spread throughout the entire station. I estimated that at least 300 beings had crammed into the observation galleries surrounding the central combat ring. Even Administrator Quellen was present, looking simultaneously fascinated and horrified. The arena itself was a circular platform, 20 meters in diameter, surrounded by energy barriers to protect spectators. Standard gravity. No weapons, no armor. Just two beings and whatever they brought with them. Hakros entered first, accompanied by thunderous cheers from the Drexian section of the crowd. He wore minimal clothing, just a ceremonial harness across his broad chest. His scales gleamed under the harsh lights, and his crest was fully extended in a display of dominance. Then Kara entered. She wore her standard duty uniform, grey pants, black boots, a simple tank top. Her hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail. She looked, if I am being honest, completely unprepared. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some cheered, some jeered. Most simply watched in stunned silence. Hakros raised all four arms above his head. Witness, he bellowed, the folly of challenging Drexian might. Kara rolled her shoulders, tilted her head side to side until something cracked audibly, and stepped onto the platform. The referee, a neutral Victorian arbiter, floated between them. This is a sanctioned challenge under Station Kepler 9 regulations. Combat continues until one participant yields or is rendered unconscious. Lethal force is prohibited. Do both parties understand? Yes, Hakros growled. Yeah, Kara said. Then begin. The Victorian darted backward. For exactly 2.3 seconds nothing happened. Then Hakros charged. He moved fast for something his size, too fast. The platform shook with each thundering step, as 250 kilograms of scaled muscle barreled toward the human female, who looked like she weighed maybe 60 kilograms, soaking wet. Kara did not move. She is frozen, Rix whispered beside me. Fear has paralyzed her. But I was watching her face, and I did not see fear. I saw calculation. At the last possible second, when Hakros was perhaps half a meter away, Kara dropped into a crouch and rolled to the side. The warlord's momentum carried him past her, all four arms grasping at empty air. He skidded to a halt, claws scraping against the platform surface with a sound that made my sensory organs ache. Too slow, Kara called out, bouncing lightly on her feet. The crowd erupted. Cheers, boos, shocked gasps. I noticed several beings frantically adjusting their wager tablets. Hakros spun around, his amber eyes blazing. You run like prey. I dodge like someone with a functioning brain, Kara corrected. There is a difference. He charged again. This time Kara did not dodge. She stepped forward inside his guard and drove her fist directly into his midsection. The impact sounded like a hammer, striking meat. Hakros stopped, looked down, then laughed. A booming sound that echoed through the arena. That is your best? He swung one massive arm in a backhand that would have decapitated most species. Kara ducked under it, stepped back, and grinned. Just testing your armor, big guy. Good news. You are definitely as thick as you look. Oh, that was unwise. Hakros roared, a primal sound of rage that triggered every prey instinct in my evolutionary history. He launched into a flurry of attacks. All four arms moving in coordinated patterns that spoke of decades of combat training. Each strike could shatter bone. Each grab could crush organs, and Kara avoided every single one. She moved like water, like smoke, like something that should not exist in three-dimensional space. Duck, weave, sidestep, roll. She made it look effortless, almost casual, while Hakros grew increasingly frantic in his assault. Stand still, he snarled. No thanks, Kara replied, not even breathing hard. I am good. I leaned toward Vrix. Is she toying with him? I believe, Vrix said slowly. All three eye stalks focused on the combat. She is studying him. That made a disturbing amount of sense. Hakros changed tactics. Instead of wild swings, he began using his size advantage, trying to corner Kara against the energy barriers. It was a sound strategy. Limit her mobility, force her into a grapple, where his strength would dominate. It almost worked. Kara found herself backed against the barrier, Hakros advancing with all four arms spread wide to prevent escape. The crowd noise reached a fever pitch. Several beings were shouting advice in multiple languages. I heard someone place a bet for human survival past 2 minutes, which seemed both optimistic and deeply insulting. Nowhere to run, Deathworlder, Hakros said, his voice dripping with satisfaction. Kara looked at the barrier behind her, then at Hakros. Then she smiled, and it was the most terrifying expression I have ever seen on any face in any species. Who said anything about running? She jumped. Straight up. Her legs coiled and released with enough force to launch her nearly 3 meters into the air. For a brief, impossible moment, she seemed to hang suspended above Hakros's head. Then she came down, both feet slamming into his shoulders with her full body weight behind them. The warlord crumpled. Not fell, crumpled. Like his legs had suddenly forgotten their function. He crashed to the platform face first with an impact that I felt through the observation gallery floor. The arena went completely silent. Kara landed in a crouch beside Hakros, prone form. She stood slowly, brushing off her hands. So, we done here, or do you want round 2? Hakros pushed himself up, shaking his head as if to clear it. Purple blood trickled from his snout. His crest had gone pale. But when he looked at Kara, there was something new in his eyes. Respect. And fury. You have skill, he admitted, rising to his full height. More than I anticipated. But skill alone will not save you. Good thing I brought other stuff too, Kara said. This time when Hakros attacked, it was different. Controlled, precise. He was not trying to overwhelm her anymore. He was trying to outthink her. And for the first time Kara was on the defensive. She blocked a strike aimed at her head, and I saw her wince. Another blow glanced off her shoulder, spinning her partially around. Hakros pressed his advantage, using his reach and multiple limbs to create attack patterns that became increasingly difficult to counter. She is tiring, someone in the crowd observed. They were wrong. I could see it now. Kara was not tiring. She was adapting. Every block taught her something. Every near miss refined her understanding of his combat style. She was downloading his entire fighting methodology in real time. Humans, I realized with growing horror, are incredibly good at learning how to hurt things. Hakros threw a combination punch, 2 arms high, 2 arms low. Kara slipped between them, and suddenly she was inside his guard again. This time her fist struck his chest, right where 2 major scale plates met. Hakros gasped, a sound I did not think Drexians could make. Kara hit him again, same spot, then a 3rd time. Each impact drove the air from his lungs. On the 4th strike, I heard something crack. The warlord staggered backward, all 4 arms clutching at his chest. His breathing came in short, painful gasps. That, Kara said calmly, is what we call a solar plexus strike. Well, technically you do not have a solar plexus, but you have got something similar right there where your respiratory diaphragm connects. Hurts like hell, does it not? Hakros straightened, clearly struggling. You fight with honor. I fight to win, Kara corrected. There is a difference. The warlord nodded slowly. Then he did something that shocked everyone, myself included. He smiled. Perhaps I misjudged your species. Yeah. People tend to do that. But this is not over. Hakros dropped into a combat stance. I recognized from my research into Drexian martial arts. It was called the Krethon position. It was also known as the desperation form, used only when a warrior had accepted they might die but refused to yield. Oh no, Hakros, Kara said, her tone shifting to something almost gentle. You do not have to do this. Honor demands it. Honor is stupid, says the human who accepted this challenge. Kara sighed. Okay, fair point. But seriously, you are hurt. Your breathing is compromised. You have probably got a cracked rib, maybe 2. If you keep fighting, I am going to have to hurt you worse, and neither of us wants the paperwork involved in that. You speak of mercy? I speak of practicality. Plus, she added, you are kind of growing on me. In a weird, overly aggressive lizard sort of way. For a moment I thought Hakros might actually laugh. Instead he charged one final time. What happened next I am not entirely sure I can describe accurately. My visual processing system may have simply given up trying to track the speed at which things occurred. Kara moved forward to meet him. Hakros swung all 4 arms in a devastating attack pattern that should have torn her apart. Instead, she dropped under the first swing, rolled between his legs, came up behind him, jumped onto his back, wrapped one arm around his thick neck, and locked her legs around his midsection. "Tap out," she said directly into his ear. "Or take a nap. Your choice." Hakros thrashed, trying to dislodge her. He slammed backward against the energy barrier. Kara held on. He spun, arms flailing. She held on. He dropped to one knee, then both knees, clawing at her arm around his throat. She held on. "Last chance," Kara said. Her voice was calm, almost soothing. "No shame in it. You fought well. But this is over." The warlord's struggles weakened. His eyes began to lose focus. One clawed hand tapped twice against Kara's forearm. The signal of submission. Kara released him immediately, rolling away and standing in one fluid motion. Hakros collapsed to all fours, gasping for air. The referee darted forward. "The human is victorious." The crowd exploded. But I noticed something interesting. The Drexian section was not booing. They were cheering, loudly, with what appeared to be genuine enthusiasm. Kara walked over to Hakros, who was slowly climbing to his feet. She extended her hand. He stared at it for a moment. Then, carefully, he reached out with one of his four hands and grasped hers. "You fight like a true warrior," he said, his voice hoarse. "You fight like someone who has been doing this way too long," Kara replied. "Seriously, maybe take up a hobby. Pottery, gardening, literally anything that does not involve getting choked unconscious." Hakros laughed. A genuine sound this time. "I withdraw my statement about human weakness. You have proven me wrong. Apology accepted. Now can we please get you to medical, because I definitely cracked at least one of your ribs, and possibly did some damage to your trachea. It is merely pain. It is merely stupid if you ignore it. Come on, tough guy, let us go." I watched in absolute astonishment as Lieutenant Kara Stone, human Deathworlder and apparent martial arts master, helped Warlord Hakros limp out of the arena. His guards rushed forward, but he waved them away with one hand while keeping another draped over Kara's shoulders for support. Brix turned to me. "Did that actually just happen?" "I believe so," I said, though I may need to review my sensor logs to be certain. "The human defeated a Drexian warlord in single combat." "Yes." "With her bare hands?" "Yes. And now they appear to be friends." I watched Kara laugh at something Hakros said, then punch him lightly in the arm in what humans call a friendly gesture. "Yes. Apparently." Brix was quiet for a moment. "Then I am never complaining about heavy cargo containers again." 3 days later I found myself once again in the observation deck. This time, I was not alone. Kara stood beside me, sipping another cup of her corrosive coffee. Hakros sat nearby, his chest wrapped in medical bandages, looking remarkably content for someone who had recently been beaten unconscious. "So," Kara said, breaking the comfortable silence, "what did we learn?" "That humans are terrifying," I offered. "That humans are formidable warriors worthy of respect," Hakros corrected, though his tone suggested he partly agreed with my assessment. Kara snorted. "What we actually learned is that judging someone by their size or appearance is really dumb. No offense, Hakros. None taken. It was a valuable lesson. Also," Kara continued, "that sometimes the best way to make a friend is to kick their ass first and ask questions later." "Is that a common human philosophy?" I asked. "More common than you would think. Half my friends back on Earth, I met by either fighting them or saving them from something trying to kill us." "It is kind of our thing," Hakros rumbled with amusement. "Your species truly is from a death world." "Yeah, but here is the thing, nobody tells you about death worlds," Kara said, staring out at the gas giant. "They do not just make you tough, they make you adaptable, creative, because when everything is trying to kill you, you learn to use every advantage, every trick, every bit of knowledge you can get. We do not win because we are the strongest. We win because we refuse to stop learning." I made another note in my datapad. Humans are terrifying not despite their weakness, but because of how they compensate for it. "So what happens now?" I asked. Kara shrugged. "Now I go back to my regular duties." Hakros heals up and hopefully stops challenging random humans to death matches. And life on Station Kepler 9 continues as normal. I would not say normal, Hakros interjected. I have decided to remain here for an extended period, to study human combat techniques. If your Lieutenant Stone is willing to teach me. Kara raised an eyebrow. You want me to train you? I want to understand how a being half my size can defeat me so thoroughly. It would be shameful to leave without that knowledge. Oh, Kara considered this, taking another sip of coffee. Okay, sure, but we are starting with basics. Footwork. Balance. None of this four-armed windmill nonsense. Agreed. I watched them shake on it, human and Drexian, and realized I was witnessing something historians would probably write about someday. First contact between species rarely goes smoothly, but sometimes, just sometimes, it goes in completely unexpected directions that somehow work out anyway. Quillix, Kara said, turning to me. You should join us. The training, I mean. Me? My bioluminescence flickered in alarm. I am a logistics coordinator. I do not fight. Exactly. Which means you are the perfect student. No bad habits to unlearn, she grinned. Plus, it might help with that anxiety thing you have got going on. Nothing burns off stress like punching a heavy bag. Or sparring with a warlord, Hakros added helpfully. We are not starting him with sparring, Kara said firmly. Baby steps. Against all logic and self-preservation instincts, I found myself agreeing. 3 months later, Administrator Quellen filed a report with the Galactic Council that included the following passage. Human integration into multi-species environments continues to produce unexpected but generally positive results. Recommend other stations consider human personnel for security positions, though warning labels regarding their homeworld origin should be prominently displayed. I filed my own report. Humans are terrifying, adaptable, surprisingly patient teachers, and make excellent friends provided you do not call them soft. Also, they possess an alarming tolerance for beverages that can dissolve metal. Further research recommended. Hakros filed no report, but he did send a message to the Drexian High Command that simply read, Revise combat assessments of Terran species, significantly upward, will explain upon return, possibly never returning, have discovered new purpose. And Kara. She filed her incident report about the arena fight. It was 3 sentences long. Drexian Warlord challenged me to single combat. I won. No permanent damage to either party. Case closed. Attached to that report was a medical bill for Hakros's cracked ribs and bruised trachea. She made him pay it himself. She said it was part of his training in humility. He paid without complaint. As I sit here now writing this account, I can hear sounds from the station's converted cargo bay that we now use as a training facility. Kara is teaching Hakros and myself basic grappling techniques. I am not very good at it. Hakros is much better, though he still tends to rely too much on strength. But we are learning. All of us. And I suppose that is the real lesson here. Humans did not become apex predators on a death world by being the biggest or the strongest. They became apex predators by being willing to learn, adapt, and occasionally punch problems until solutions emerged. Also, they are terrifying. I cannot stress that enough, but they are our kind of terrifying now. And somehow that makes all the difference.